Hey, how's it going, everyone? I just want to do a quick lesson, just go over a couple articles. So I follow ZeroHedge pretty regularly, every day, sometimes multiple times a day. And again, great website, kind of showing what's really going on in the world. And even mainstream news is catching up to ZeroHedge. And I've heard during mainstream broadcasts, people even reference ZeroHedge articles. So even they know what's going on this website. It's become that well known and reliable and all that. But there's a good article, Economic Slowdown Confirmed. Here are 14 very alarming numbers that expose the real state of the economy. And so it lists these. Continuing jobless claims are rising at the fastest pace in 10 years. U.S. businesses are adding jobs at the slowest pace in a year and a half. General Motors, Ford, Nissan, and Fiat Chrysler all reported sales declines of at least 5% on a year-over-year basis. Tesla vehicle deliveries were down. U.S. consumer confidence fell more than 7 points. Manhattan real estate sales have now fallen for 6 straight quarters. This is the longest losing streak in 30 years. To me, that was the one that stood out to me the most. I kind of had a feel for the other ones. That's very alarming. London real estate just dropped by the most we've seen in 10 years. The owner of Kay, Zales, and Jared Jewelers just announced that they will be closing 150 stores. Retail layoffs are 92% higher than they were this time last year. U.S. freight shipment volume has fallen for 3 months in a row. The inventory to sales ratio in the United States has risen sharply for 5 months in a row. And so inventory is getting heavier than the sales, so that number increasing is bad. At this point, almost half of all renters in America spend more than 30% of their income on rent. I'm in that bucket. The real median net income for Minnesota farmers was only $26,000 in 2018. That's about as much as I was making in grad school. So that's not very livable, even for a single person with no dependents. Overall, U.S. economic numbers are off to their worst start for a year since 2008. We didn't see economic numbers like this last year. So to me, it's kind of incredible that a list like this would be a lot different than even just last year. What they're saying right there in that bold line right below this bullet point of 14 items is that, things appear to be accelerating. And just from what I'm seeing on financial commentary, like, people like Gregory Mannarino and Peter Schiff and stuff, that, again, it's just becoming more and more obvious. And, the number of stores that are closing, I was just watching a mainstream news snippet on that, like Payless and all these other places. It's alarming. And the thing that one would think is that if they're closing, let's just say even in an ideal world that a store would replace those, and then the same people could be rehired back. That obviously doesn't happen right away. And the reality is that a lot of those stores are closing just simply because, people don't have enough money. They were obviously did have enough people at some point, and they don't anymore. And it's just the thing that you will not see mainstream news talk about is just how the average American just does not have enough money to spend, to keep these stores in existence. And so that's what we see happening. And so I also wanted to go through this Reddit post. Again, this was posted just a few hours ago. And to me, this is incredibly alarming, not surprising, because I've gone through something similar with similar credentials. But this person is writing, "Why am I still unemployed? I've been searching for a job for about a half a year now, and I'm genuinely flabbergasted as to how little luck I've had. I've applied to approximately 1,000 jobs over that time frame, about 250 with thoughtful, individualized cover letters. I've had interviews with exactly 5 of the places I've applied to. That conversion ratio is horrible. Usually an average of 5 or 6 interviews per company result after the screener, and have received 0 offers. I believe myself to have been qualified for every single one of those positions. I graduated at the top of my class with a STEM degree from a top 25 national university, then went on to one of the top 3 law schools in the country, Harvard, Yale, or Stanford, and did quite well there too. I also taught myself several languages and have a decent amount of work experience that I acquired during schools and summers. I have no criminal or academic disciplinary history and no significant gaps on my resume before this one. I'm willing to work anywhere in the country and to do it for minimum wage. Have applied to many fast food and retail places and have even applied for about 50 volunteer gigs, but I've gotten absolutely nothing. Wow. So I actually did a post on did a video on a post a while ago, and someone in the comments actually references that. Here, there was a poster on this sub a couple months ago with a master's from Oxford who was having the same trouble. You're probably not doing anything wrong. It's the broken system. And so I upvoted that. And so, this to me, and actually just looking back on my own experience, so I graduated from Rice in 2007 and I only had 2 job offers. And I didn't know at that time because I just, that was my first job, my first real job. You get paid a small amount in grad school, but getting 2 offers to me I thought was normal. But really that isn't normal, thinking about it. It should be a lot more for people. And again, this is not to brag, but if somebody is going to a school like that and graduating, with a master's, I have a master's in electrical engineering from Rice, one would think in a healthy environment, you would get many, many offers, and almost be inundated. And that was not the case. And so when I did, take the job one of those 2, there was a downturn, the 08 housing crash, which according to Obama was by a couple of rogue traders. And so these are the kind of people that we have in leadership, and we have a lot of people who still think Obama is a great president. And so this just shows how deceived people are. Really, a lot of the people on Earth right now are just actors, because that's obviously a ridiculous statement. There's no way a crash like that could be on the back of 2 or 3 rogue traders. But there was a lot of layoffs happening at that time, and so it looks like we're kind of going through something similar to that and possibly way worse. And so it's absolutely absurd for a person with these credentials, STEM degree, science, technology, engineering, and a law degree from Harvard, Yale, or Stanford to even be anywhere near writing a post like this. And having to apply to 1,000 jobs just shows that a lot of those jobs are just there as an illusion to make the economy look like it's better than it actually is. And to only have 5 interviews out of 1,000 applications, again, is proof that, we're living in very, very dark times. And so, there's a lot of different things that are starting to sort of come together, and people are starting to realize that, what the economy, really is like. And, I guess the question we have to keep holding people to, especially in the ball earth, flat earth debate, is if it's becoming obvious to everybody, why aren't the ball earthers kind of checking their news feeds? Why are they behind on this kind of stuff? And so to me, again, the strongest flat earth proof to me is that there is a coordinated financial deception happening worldwide, and the ball earth deception is just, one sort of derivative of that, and if you can accomplish enslaving the entire world financially, you can pretty much do anything. You can tell them that they live on a spinning beach ball flying through space. You can tell them that Jesus is white. You can tell them don't think about God. You can tell them robotics and automation is great. You can tell them that everything will get better. It's just a little minor blip. But the question is, how will it get better? Are the people who have been taking all this printed money over the years, are they just going to start just being very generous and start giving it out to people? We obviously know that that's not the case, or else they wouldn't have performed this type of a scheme, orchestrated this type of a scheme from the get-go. And so, I'm not happy to read these kind of things because, people obviously who take this much time and invest in the system this much obviously should not be, having to send out 1,000 job, applications and the sad reality is that every day that goes by, every month that goes by, it's going to become harder and harder for this person, because they're probably just going to get discouraged, and it'll show. And, I'll try and put a couple encouraging words, but, this is the world that we live in. And, I think this year and next year, I'd be very, very surprised if, the real economy is not very, very visible on the streets, especially here in America. Hope everyone's doing well. Bye.